Bloke What Cooks. Please follow me on Instagram, that Bloke What Cooks, and like and subscribe to the videos that I post on the YouTube channel. Today we are going to make Pavlova. This is another recipe that sounds or feels like it should be a lot more complicated than it is. It's pretty straightforward. Again, you can create some extra faff to make like a wreath shape for Christmas, perhaps, or add different things to it. But we're just going to make a straightforward fruit pavlova in a circle. So what we've got already in the background there, you can see I've got a flat tray that is lined with baking parchment. It's not lined, it's got a bit of baking parchment plunked over the top of it. And what we need to do is mix egg whites with caster sugar. So the trickiest part of this recipe is separating out your egg whites. So you want 6 eggs, which we've got here, and separating out your egg whites. Now, if you're not confident with this, you can get like a little egg separator, which is just like a little sieve sort of thing. And you crack your egg into it, and the white drains out the bottom and holds the yolk inside. Much safer way of doing it. 1, I haven't got one, and 2, I like showing off. So tap your egg gently on there until you can get it separated. And you see there, I'm just cracking it in half, and I'm just going to let the majority of the white just fall out. So it's quite a sticky one. But there you go, you see the eggs falling there, and then you just gently pass it between the 2 halves like that until all the white comes out. Not to be perfect, the one thing to do is just make sure you do not crack the yolk, because you can spoil everything by doing that. And then you're left with the yolk just in that half of the egg. Pop that into another bowl, and then what you're going to be left with at the end of the recipe is 6 egg yolks. So it's time to mix your meringue now. We've got 6 egg whites in here, and I've got 350 grams of white caster sugar. Now, common mistake, don't just chuck it all in there at once. You need to add this gradually. So get your blender, your mixer, sorry, and stick it onto a bit of a low rotation. Then tip maybe about 1/4 of it in, and then mix it in. Now, it's going to look pretty unappetizing to begin with. I'm not going to tell you what it looks like. Work that out for yourself when you do this recipe. And then just keep adding it, mix it in, and then once you've got all the sugar in, turn the speed up on your blender. And what you're looking for, most of the recipes will say like white peaks. Basically, you want to make it so that it's really fluffy. So I've got a little bowl here, little dish, little thing, and in there is 1 teaspoon of corn flour and 1 teaspoon of vinegar. Now, a lot of the recipes that you look at will say white wine vinegar. I've just used malt vinegar simply because I don't have any white wine vinegar, and that's what's handy. And I think they all probably say white wine vinegar just so that I think they're a bit worried that you might discolour the mixture because of your whites. It doesn't. So it's absolutely fine to use malt vinegar if you don't have any white wine vinegar. I suppose use white wine vinegar if you have it. So what you want to do is pour that in there and then mix it in. You need to get rid of your mixer, get a wooden spoon or a silicone spatula, and just fold it in. Now, you've got to be careful here because you want to fold it and make sure it's all incorporated in the mix, but you do not want to knock too much air out of your mix either. So I'll just pour that in there, and then just gently turn the bowl and turn your spoon or whatever it is that you're using the other way, and then at the exact point where you don't see any more ripples, this is why it's quite handy to use malt vinegar, because you can see the ripples, that's when you stop. And that is right now. And then what you need to do is get your tray and make your pavlova mold. So yeah, best thing about this is licking the spoon and the mess you make on your fingers. So if you look here, So what we've done is we've got the meringue mix. I don't want to drop it in the sink. We've got the meringue mix, and it's soft enough to manipulate, but solid enough to hold its form. And we've made like a rim around the edge and a little hollow in the middle. Now, if you are all into fanciness and you want to create a little pattern on there to make it look lovely, now is your chance. This is when to do it. Like we've said many times before, we're not about presentation. I mean, obviously, on this channel, we're about flavours and a more rustic feel to things. So what we're going to do now, we're going to whack that in the oven. The oven's been on for about, the oven's been on heating up to 140 fan oven. Who doesn't have a fan oven nowadays? And we're going to stick that in there for about 1 hour and 15 minutes until it's baked through. Our timer's going off, so it's time to get the Pavlova out, see how we're looking. So that's 1 hour and 15 at 1:40. Oh, you dancer, look at this. So that, my friends, is exactly what we're looking for. So it's risen out. We've kept that little bevel in the middle where our fruit's going to go. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty pleased with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that aside on the bench to cool down. It's going to take a minimum of 1 hour. It's got to be cool because we're going to whip up cream and put it in there. We do not want it to melt, so you want to leave that for as long as possible. I mean, it's meringue, it'll keep forever, but that'll leave overnight if you want. But minimum of 1 hour. So that's our Pavlova base all nice and cool now. And in our bowl here we have 600 mils of double cream, 50 grams of icing sugar, and a few drops of orange extract. Put some vanilla extract in, or you don't have to put anything in. The orange extract's just going to give it a little bit of a bit of a bite to cut through the cream in the Pavlova, because I don't have too many acidic fruits to put on top. If you were using something like kiwi fruit on top, which works very well with Pavlova, you wouldn't need to put something like that into this mix. And then what we're going to do is we're going to whip it up until it's nice and thick. So we've been going at that on full power for a while, and you can see that while it's still moving within there, it's no longer really a liquid, and that's sort of where you want it. You don't want it to be totally stiff, but you also need it to have lost its sort of liquid qualities. And all we're going to do now is we're just going to spoon that into our meringue case. And that hole that you've made in, oh man, it's perfect, look at that. So the hole that you've made inside your meringue should house this whipped up cream perfectly. And incredibly, that's exactly what's happened. So there you go, you can see that. I'm just going to give that a bit of a wobble. Oh, I've lost a bit of my meringue case. And then I'm going to stick that in the fridge for about 20 minutes. And then we'll put the fruit on top. Okay, so it's time to garnish our Pavlova now, and I've got some blackberries, some blueberries, some raspberries and some strawberries. We're going to chop the strawberries up, and we're just going to arrange them in a bit of a fancy way. So there we go, one fruit Pavlova. So alternatives, kiwi fruit and grapes work quite well with this, kiwi fruit especially. Traditionally it's just strawberries, and you know, it's fallen apart a little bit here on the side, which probably means I've overcooked it slightly. That doesn't matter, it's still going to taste great, and if you drop it on the floor, it's eaten mess.